you painted a picture saying, reminding us that we have at least some newbies.
Yes, 29 of them.
29
governors. Yes.
And these ones would definitely need some form of experience in order to drive the economies of their states. And if they don't have it, whether you like it or not, we're likely to get into more trouble than we already have. How can new political leaders like governors and those who will be coming to help drive the economies of their states help in making sure that they take such states out of the woods?
There are two critical elements to effective governance. The most important being vision. And vision, at the end of the day, is expressed through leadership. So there has to be the leadership content. What I've come to observe, and not just me, but other colleagues within the African Emerging Markets Network, indeed other professionals, is that our politicians are quite skillful at getting power. But for lots of them, by the time they acquire the power and they're in office, not many of them have a clear direction of what to do. And so the leadership...
What to do with the power.
What to do with the power. And by the time they get that power, they're in office, and they don't know what next to do. And there's a strong disconnect between them and the people they lead. Years come, years go, the tenure is over, and not much has come to the people who elected them to office. But over time, because we've been browbeaten by the experiences we've had by successive governments, we've become cynical as a people. And there's very little we expect from government. As a matter of fact, we're just beginning to get to a point where we're holding them accountable. It's not part of our culture anymore. And except if people do that, you'll get little or next to nothing from people who lead. So for those who are new in office, there's a leadership content that's critical. And more importantly, there's a need to close this financial gap. In the leadership content, they need a clear roadmap. There's some of them who have ideas of what to do. There's a need to hone that vision and say, hey, it looks good, but it can be better if we do it this way and that way. Part of what we want to bring to the table. But more importantly, the states who even have good ideas do not seem to have the financial capacity to deliver on well-meaning projects and very nice initiatives. So there are two things here. Where states are struggling from Q1 out of 16 quarters, paying wage bills, and what they have is not even adequate to take care of wage bills, it gives you a very clear picture what the end of this administration may be. No matter how well-intentioned they are, they're not able to deliver the deliverables to the people. And it's a good time to start shouting and asking the critical questions, the hard questions, saying, hey, even though they say it's early in the day, but it's good to start shouting when it's early in the day, so don't get into a mess, because it gets to a point where you can't even fix it anymore. It's too late to do something. So if in Q1, all of the monies that come from the federal allocation, which is the culture in many of the states, the IGR is very poor in over 80% of the states.
Whose fault is that?
Now, I think it's two-pronged. Number one is the fault of the stakeholders who always agitate for new states creation. As I speak to you, unviable as many of the states are, there's still people who agitate for state creation. It gives them a sense of, there's this sense of entitlement everybody has in Nigeria, and want to feel a part of the whole thing. And I think when we have a state of our own, then more of the dividends can come to us. In the process, we keep having more and more states, and we keep.
The question is, who creates that mentality that more dividends will come to us rather than us working for the dividends?
I think as a politicians, over time, they have found the embers of what they consider divides us in terms of religion and in terms of ethnicity. And that mindset brews within us this sense of consciousness that except we have our own state, then we're not stakeholders, as it were. And so from the people, there's agitation, and from the political leadership at various times, the blame goes both ways. So at the end of the day, we find ourselves in a quandary, and we need to get out of here early enough. Otherwise, it'll blow in our faces. Why? No matter how friendly the international community is, they can have ideas and bring it our way, but they usually talk about the buy-in process. That even if there's an idea that they think will work for us, there should be a buy-in. There's a saying right now, after the BRIC emerging economies had come up, in 2001 they were muted, and it has happened, like China, like Brazil, India, and the rest of them. We're beginning to talk about the mint countries now. The same economists came up with that. And we have in the mix, the M there is Mexico, the I there is Indonesia, the N there is Nigeria, and the T is Turkey. You see, they may analyze and see that we have growth prospects, but except in-house, we put our acts together, we'll fail woefully. So like I was saying, there could be good ideas brought from outside to us. They want our buy-in. But when they're homegrown initiatives, you originate the ideas, they can help you hone it. Then that way you can get to the place of your purpose a lot faster and better articulated with greater results.
So the prospect can actually materialize all by itself. You have to activate it.
Oh, it's just like the wheelbarrow. It stays there doing nothing except someone pushes the wheelbarrow. In the same way, if we sit back and just have this divided opinion, some hailing government and say, hey, they didn't make promises in 100 days. So why ask them for anything in 100 days? But you see, 100 days is a reflection of what will happen in the next 15 quarters. In quarter one, we're in a mess. Lots of the states can't pay salaries. 22 states are asking for bailout. Bailout worries me and worries lots of the people, other analysts out there, because it's meant to deal with arrears.
So we have 15 more...
15 more quarters.
15 more quarters
Absolutely,
to go.
To the end of this administration. And this is a good time to shout. But beyond shouting and saying, hey, look in the mirror and see how your face is and do something about it, we need to identify and say, okay, beyond the hue and cry, which way forward? And I think that's where we'll end.
Yeah, but what do you expect the states to do? Let's take a look at, say, Osun State now, which has been in the news for some time now.
Yes.
The government, it seems to be taking its time before dispensing these funds. They want to perhaps take a thorough look at their liabilities and their debts before they begin to know who exactly where to pay. At least so a lawmaker who was here yesterday said, because according to them, another set of bailout funds will not be coming their way anytime soon. For a state like that, what would you advise that they do?
Now, the problems we have as a country, both at the national and the state levels, are multifaceted. Now, if you want to achieve good results, you streamline your effort. So we're looking at about 4 different sectors for the states. So let's take the example of Osun State. The 4 sectors we're looking at cuts across the states, and that's why we're saying, hey, beyond all of this gloomy picture we see ahead, let's begin to do something. There are 4 sectors. Number 1, the people need to see and know that they have derived the dividends of this so-called democracy going out there to vote for those leaders. So it's a partnership, it's a contract between them and we who have voted them into office. So there are 4 sectors we're looking at. Number 1, healthcare is more broad-based. It reaches many more people. As I speak to you, Nigeria has one of the highest maternal mortality rate in the world.
But it's more a social service which government pays for.
Either they like it or not, it's part of what we need to get. But there are ways of achieving that. For Osun State, for example, there's no such money coming from the federal allocation anymore. But the people need to be touched in their health care, because a healthy nation is the one that can talk about what happens in the future. Now, in making that happen, there are proven methods and concepts around the world. One of them that's very popular here is the PPP. Now, the platform we're offering and the solution we're bringing to the table, which we're making available to the states, in quotes for free, is, hey, come into partnership with people, all the stakeholders can make things happen for you.
But you've seen how PPPs have been. Is it that they haven't been done right? But you've seen how they've been greeted by the labor unions.
We're almost there. Just let me make this point.
I'm
sorry, let me make this point and then I'll take your question. Now, the basic arrangement of a PPP is a private sector identifies with government in the area they wish to do something. That's why the government needs to be clear in its mind what they want to achieve. So a government says, I want to deal with health care, but I don't have money. But these are the things I hope to do. It will cost X naira. The private sector person says, hey, I can connect with you and realize this for you. I take my profit, you take the credit. 4 years down the line, an Osun State government can come around and say, hey, based on this offer that we have received, we've been able to do A, B, C, and D, not with their own money, but they provide the enabling environment, the framework to make the private sector person deliver. So he takes the profit, and they take the credit. And they can point to a few things as having been done under that administration, even in the face of this dire economic
But the problem is, I was just trying to quickly hit the question.
I was coming to that question.
Okay, by all means, go ahead.
The reason we're not able to get it right is because of the kind of capacity we have. And we're bringing other capacities where these concepts have been proven over and over again in more than one country, in up to 50 countries. We're bringing them to the table and say, hey, let's understand the dynamics within your environment. let's contextualize this principle against the legal framework, against the cultural nuances of the people, against the expectation and the financial capacity of the people, and then it can be structured to fit the context in which the PPP needs to work. But you don't just import an idea wholesale and think it will work. You need to adapt it to your immediate environment. And what will work in Osun State could fail woefully in Borno State. And that's why we're saying, with this proven concept in over 50 countries, we can make things work in this environment where the individual state concentrates on federal allocations coming to them, dealing with wage bill, even though they may still have a little struggle, but at least they can concentrate on that. But the electorate will not be denied in the area of healthcare. We're also focusing on education. This is the first time I've heard all my few years on earth that Nigeria has posted a pass mark of just 31% in WAEC. That's terrible all over the world. There's no climb that will give you a pass mark with 31%. Of course, the way they put it was the other way around. There's 69% failure rate. Of course, talking about English and maths. What it means is without your English and maths, you're not going anywhere. 69%. That's bad. And we need to start looking at it. There are many factors in there that are responsible for that kind of result. And it can only get worse. Mark my words, if we do nothing, by next year it will be worse. And you see, the reason Nigeria has been projected as one of those countries that will emerge as an economic giant in the Mint composition is because of the youthfulness of our population. Over 65% of our population are said to be between age 18 and 35. We have capacity. But if this capacity is not enlightened and schooled and skilled, then it's a frustrating capacity.